Hey traders, what is up? Welcome to a new daily watches video. Let's quickly dive to charts to see what could happen today. First of all, what we got is a euro US dollar, and like I already said in the previous video, there was a possibility that we could move up. I didn't really take a trade on this because I didn't really like this price action. But for now, what we can see is that a lot of retail traders are still short. Like even at the highs in here, there are still a lot of traders short. And for now, I got my confirmation that price is going to go up. We still have like supply zone in here, which can push price down. But for now, I am just bullish on euro US dollar. It looks like that this price action can sustain, especially if these zones are removed in here, then we could even move higher into the levels in there. So for now, my bias on euro US dollar is basically bullish. I am waiting for another up move and waiting for another leg up to visit like these higher areas in there. Now that said, we can also look at the DXY because the DXY is showing a similar scenario, but inversed, of course. For now, the DXY looks bearish to me. We could visit the lower areas in here. We had our breakout in here. We did had our zone in here. Was not entirely valid for me, but price still reacted to it in the end. And this is really what I wanted to see. I want to see this clear breakdown, this clear push to the downside. And yeah, right now we have a clear break of structure. Now, if we draw our trend line, we can see that we still have this zone. So let me quickly draw it in. We still have this zone in here. Price could still visit there and maybe make like a pullback from there. For now, price is bearish. So what I'm waiting for is price to make a pullback, take some shorts and ride to downside, or some longs, or let's say euro US dollar and other pairs like that. Now moving over to AUD US dollar, what we can see is we finally broke out of the trend. Of course, since the DXY is bearish, the AUD US dollar is turning bullish now. What we have in here is we have a demand zone below in there. So I'm waiting for price to make a pullback to push us further up. Might not even happen because price action can easily just start shooting up, especially if the DXY starts free falling now. But at least this is the zone I am watching. We got a small switch on in here where price is reacting to. So either way, I'm looking for longs right now on the AUD US dollar. Now we can also look at the 50-minute real quick and can draw it in. What we can see is a similar zone. So we also have like a zone on the 50-minute in here. So price could still go down, visit our zone in there. And this is just the zone I will be watching for AUD US dollar longs. Now that said, moving over to the NZDUSD dollar, and regarding the NZDUSD dollar, we see a similar scenario happen. Right now we had a break of the trend. We had a demand zone below in here. So this already is what I said in my previous videos, right? We had a demand zone in here. Price could be reacting to it. I was waiting for a little bit of a push lower, but for now we still got that clean break of trend, and these entries are usually better than just trading in auto zone, right? Like you want to see a break of the trend, creating new zones, and then coming back to the zones, taking more liquidity to take it further to the upside. So for now, I am watching these areas for some longs on the NZDUSD dollar. And this zone to be removed, of course. So if this zone is removed, we can also get another zone in here. But for now, I'm mainly watching the lower ones in there. Now, if we go to the 50-minute, we can see the same kind of zones. So in the 50-minute, we also have some zones in here and this one. And this is similar to the 4-hour, of course. So I am waiting for a pullback back to the zones in order to scale into some longs. Moving over to GBPUSD dollar, and regarding the GBPUSD dollar, we had a very nice run. Currently price is inside of a supply zone, and I am also waiting for a pullback to demand zones. I am sure every pair is going to behave differently. Some pairs can start a rally immediately, while other pairs like EURUSD dollar, GBPUSD dollar could make a pullback. So I'm just carefully waiting. The only thing I don't really like is that every pair is showing the same zones, and what you usually have is when a lot of pairs are showing the same things is that it's going to take out some liquidity. Some trades might work, some might not work, but especially if there's a lot of similarity, then you're gonna see price not really reacting very clean to all the zones. So that's why I'm still careful. But for sure, if price visits back in these zones, I'm gonna look to scale into some longs, especially on the 50-minute or 5-minute, depending on which develops nicely. And yeah, that's it for the GBPUSD dollar. Now quickly moving over to gold, and what we can see in gold is we had that push up like I was expecting, and for now we broke the 0.75. We are breaking out of the range. We are breaking out of the daily demand zone. If today, if we close above this trend line, then we get another daily zone in there, and this one could easily be visited. Now if we go to the 4 hour, we can see similar zones in here. So on the 4 hour, we don't have a trend line, but what we do have is we have this similar zone in there. Let's draw it properly. We have this zone, and this zone is a zone that I will be watching for some longs. So if we zoom out a little bit, what we could see was we had our demand zone below in there. Price never visited it. It took out the highs in here, and it looks like it is going to take out these highs too. We already broke the trend line, so currently price is shifting slightly bullish. I'm waiting for these zones to be visited and for price to make like a reaction and a further run from these zones. If that happens, we got a confirmation that we might eventually even get like new all-time highs, or at least visit into our supply zone in there. So for now, we are just stuck mid-range. So if we draw our ranging tool, basically what we can see is, let's take a range tool. So if we draw these from the tops until the bottoms and like this, we have our 0.25 in here, our 0.50, this is the mid-range, and it's 0.75. So for now, I am looking to scale into some longs at the lower levels, at the lower zones in here, and to cash out at the 0.75 in there. I'm not investing in gold, so I will be just trading it, but of course, if you guys like to swing trade a little bit more, you can even try to target like new all-time highs, but those are very, very long trades, and I don't really like to do that. So for now, I'm just looking for these small zones in here, take some day trades, take some swing trades, and ride it at least until the upper zone in there. That said, moving over to the pair that is heavily dropping right now, the Bitcoin. There's a lot of pairs going on right now, a lot of market blood, basically, like there's a lot of blood on the streets. And what I'm expecting is I'm expecting some lows to be broken, especially because we got this clean price action, trend break, supply zones, demand zones being removed, new supply zones being touched, basically. And for now, I am just heavily bearish on the Bitcoin. So what I'm expecting is that this low is going to be taken out. We're going to visit lower 40, 50k levels, and some levels that I will be watching are these. So if we go to the weekly time frame, what we can already see is, of course, the daily is bearish, so we need some weekly liquidity, some weekly zones in order for us to make a pullback or eventually even push us further up. And these zones are located at like 34k until 45k. So these are the zones I will be watching next for price to go. The only thing I don't really like is that we have a trend line in here, and if price reaches back into these zones, we are on top of the trend line, and retail really likes to go long if something like that happens. So for me, I will be scaling in here for just some long-term positions. But yeah, we could see a lot of blood on the market. We are already seeing it right now, and it could be more and more worse than we had in the 2022 area. So yeah, for now I am just bearish, waiting for price to visit these demand zones before I'm gonna scale further in. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.